As dads, some days we feel like we have all the answers, and some days we feel like we don't have a clue. If that describes you, you're at the right place. This is the All Pro Dad Podcast. This is the All Pro Dad Podcast. I'm your host, Ted Lowe, and today we have a very special episode. Mark Merrill and I, the president of Family First, All Pro Dad, were actually joined, and we got to sit down with the head coach of Florida State, Mike Norvell, and he just gives some incredible life lessons, but also great input for us to teach our kids and focus. It was just incredible. I want you to listen to this. Coach Norvell, thanks for joining us.
No, I appreciate you guys having me, and definitely good to be able to catch up.
Hey, Coach Mark Merrill. Good to talk to you again.
Hey, Coach. My name is Ted Lowe. I'm excited that you're here, man. This is amazing. Hey, tell us about your family.
Well, I've got my wife, Maria. We've been married for over 19 years. It's 20 here in December, and we have a newly aged 10-year-old Mila, that she just turned 10 there in late June, and it's us three. We've been at it strong throughout this coaching profession, and we got a great family, and I would be remiss if I left out our two dogs. We got a dog, a lab that's a golden retriever that's named Max, and then we have a Rottweiler named Mabel. She's the baby of the group, though.
I love that. So if your daughter's listening to this, she's going to say, Dad, why did you not mention the dogs? They are family too, right?
No, absolutely.
I love that. Coach, each week we'll ask just one question that most dads will struggle with whatever we're talking about, and just kind of explore that question. The question that we have for you: how do I help my kids through success and failure? Like they're going to experience both. And so how has navigating success and failure come into play as a coach in your career?
Well, I mean, I think when you go through life, I mean, much like in sports, I mean, it's the highs and the lows they're always going to be there. And,
Right.
I try to, teach a team, but also, especially with Mila, just understanding that the challenges that come up, the low moments of things that you get to go through are really opportunities. And, I think, when you sit there and everybody desires to be successful. Everybody wants to achieve at a high level. And, those high moments are glorious when you're able to go through them. But, it's the path and the process of what you get to go through to be ready for that time, and to be able to build yourself and understanding, what it takes to get up when you've been knocked down, and what it takes to be able to stay successful once you've been able to achieve that. And so, really trying to look at each of those circumstances as moments that you get to get better. And that's really the focus that we try to live upon within this football team that I get to coach, but really just within our family as well. As we don't know what the path is always going to hold, but each one of those circumstances are just our opportunity to grow and to get better. And even though that it might be tough having to go through it, it's something that's building us for what's ahead. And we've been able to guide ourselves, and obviously we're a family of faith, and we trust that God has a plan for us. And it's each one of those moments that really have helped build us to the people we are today.
I love that. So how do you see coaching and parenting being the same and different when you look at those things? I'm sure there's some ties there.
Well, I mean, I think that when you sit there and you look at the opportunity you have as a coach, it really is, you get to be a mentor, you get to be a provider, you get to be somebody that serves, a group of, coaches, a group of players. I always tell our staff that my number one job is to serve this program as the head coach, and I got to serve the players, I got to serve the staff, I got to serve the university as a whole, and that service is by providing structure, by upholding a standard, and then keeping everybody accountable to the things that we all say that we want to do and accomplish. And when I look at that as a parent and as a father, I think it's really the same thing. I've got to serve our family, and obviously, as a dad, as a husband, to work to be the best example that I can be, for our family, and being able to hold those values true, and to try to make sure that we structure things within our lives that help us grow, that helps us build upon the opportunity that we have, and making sure that we're trying to push to be the best that we can be, whether it's for Mila being a daughter, for me being a husband, Maria as a mom and as a wife, and the impact that we get to make on those that are around us. But and then the willingness to uphold the standard of just being the best that we can be, and to keep the values that we hold true in our lives, to make sure that those are a constant focus, and I think that's something that carries over in both. It carries over in home, and it carries over when you're coaching a football team, because every team wants to win a championship, and we're sitting here in the right before the season gets started, and every team is talking about lifting the trophy at the end of it. This is going to be their best year, but are the values, are the things that the actions that they're willing to do on a daily basis, is that putting them in a better position to achieve that, or is that keeping them from it? And as a coach, it's that constant push, it's that constant emphasis to the standard, and then really the accountability to it all. And I think it's a challenge to me as a dad, is I got to hold myself accountable. And we can talk about family being important, but if you're not being intentional with your family, even through the busyness of work or the busyness of the things that life can throw at you, I mean, it's being able to show that self accountability, but also the willingness to humble myself with my family, and show that admit times where maybe I'm not being as good as I need to be, and then also being able to help hold our family to accountable to the standard of what we say that we want to do, and where we're trying to go. And I think that's it's a difficult part of it, but it's what I do love about the similarities of being a dad and obviously coaching a football team, because I do think it all kind of meshes together, for a common goal and focus of what we're trying to accomplish.
Coach, I love what you said about the structures and standard and the accountability. Those three fundamentals are really critical, not only for players, but also for parents as well. And it reminds me, Coach Dungy, who talks a lot about his former coach, a guy named Chuck Noll, way before your time, and four-time Super Bowl winner. And Chuck Noll said, champions are champions, not because they do anything extraordinary, but because they do the ordinary things better than anything else and anyone else. And what he was saying is it's not these ESPN highlight reel kind of things that makes champions. It's executing those fundamentals, that structure, standard, accountability, day in and day out. That's how you win. That's how you become a champion. And I think that the same thing does apply to parenting, is really executing those fundamental things like that, day in and day out, and moving that ball down the field 1 yard at a time, with your daughter Mila and with our kids as well.
Yeah, and I think that's something that has been fun for me as I've grown as a coach over the last 10 years. A lot of it because of Mila coming into our lives, and being able to be a dad, and we talk about the three values of our programs. And I know I talked about the first one is service, and that's kind of how we try to serve, is to provide at the structure, the standard, the accountability. That's our path to service. Well, then the other two values that we really hold ourselves to is just sacrifice and respect. And it's those are family values, and that's really when I sit there and I look at a job and the program, and something that I care so much about. I want our football team to look like a family. So we really try to hold ourselves to, hey, these are the three values we want it to look like, and service and then sacrifice. Well, to achieve anything, you're gonna have to be able to sacrifice for what you desire. And really though, I always tell our team, I tell our family, I mean, it's really you'll sacrifice for the things that you love. And being able to understand, and you're going to be willing to sacrifice, well, whether it's a good moment or a bad moment, or whether you really want to or you don't. It's for the things that you love and the things that you're ultimately passionate about, you're going to be willing to sacrifice for. And then obviously the last one is that respect. And I remember when Mila was really young, somebody asked me, they said, what do you want for her? And I'd never, you don't really ever think about that until you have kids. It's like, well, what do I really want? And I, as I started really going through it, I thought, if one day, many years from now, if she becomes a woman that respects herself, and being able to understand who she is, what she's all about, one that she's a young lady that respects others and respects the people around her, the relationships, the way that she interacts with people, and then and then also lives a life that is respectable, that people can look to and point to and say, for whatever it is, the good, the bad, the right decisions, the wrong decisions that are made, that that it's done in a respectable way. I mean, that's one of the things that I openly desire for her, and I desire that for my family. I desire that for this football program, is that so we really try to hold true to those three values, and then we have a path that we try to implement in how to accomplish those things. And I really think that I've grown as a coach, as becoming a father, and trying to grow as a husband and a dad.
That's so great. So you've got a vision, got standards like for your family, just like you do for your team. As your kids and even your players experience success, obviously, but with disappointments, how do you help your players, and how do you help your daughter when you see them and you see they're disappointed? That's tough, right? Especially when they're great kids and they're doing all the things that you've encouraged them to do, and yet there still can be quote unquote failures. What are some thoughts on that for dads? No,
I mean, I tell my daughter, I tell our team, you can't be afraid to fail. And I think that there's so many, all that we can control is what we can control, and being able to put forth, the best of who we are, to try to put ourselves in the best position with how we prepare it, by the effort that we give. But you also have to be willing to step up and step out. And sometimes when you do that, you're going to experience those times where you get knocked down, where you come up short, and you don't always know why. But if you've given all that you can to it, you can learn a lesson from it. And right. It's not nobody sits back and thinks about the adversity that they're going to get to go through. That's not something that right. People really sit around and dream about. People dream about the success. They dream about lifting the trophy. They dream about when you cross the finish line. But it's all the steps along the way that get you to that point that makes the journey actually worth it. And so when you do get knocked down, it's not it's not some time where you need to hang your head. It's a time that you look at that and you realize that you're giving what you can, but now you get a chance to reflect and go get better through it. And that's something we try to do as a family. If we find ourselves in a challenging situation, or maybe things haven't gone the way that we thought it would, and whatever circumstance that's out there, we look back to the truest core of who we are, and we make sure that we are giving all that we can, and then we obviously learn through those lessons. And we do encourage each other with the effort. We do encourage each other with just the I guess the consistency of being present and being there for each other, and then you just you kind of help pick each other up and push each other forward, throughout the experiences that you face when it is a dark time or a tough time that you have to go through, whether it's in sports, whether it's in school, whether it's in your family or a circumstance that does arise. But I try not to stay too focused on how hard something is. I'm just grateful that we get the opportunity to work through it.
Coach, one of my favorite quotes about how failure really is an integral part of success. And Winston Churchill, the great statesman who we know of, said that success consists of moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. And that's really it is, because we're all going to have disappointing times and failures in our life. And that's really an important part of success. And it sounds almost ironic that it is.
Yeah, thinking of disappointments, Coach, you guys 13-0 last year. There was disappointments, about the playoffs. What did you say to your players at that point?
Well, I mean, that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through, because that was a unique journey in its own right, and we had faced many challenging situations, whether it was guys going down, players having to rise up, to block out distractions and all the things that go into a 13 week season. And it was one of the most incredible rides that you got to be a part of. And then at the end of it, there was the new adversity of when you find out that you weren't selected, or it wasn't per se good enough for that next step. And to have to do that and be on national television, and people ask me, hey, Coach, what were you thinking? I said, well, most people got to see it, because when I was sitting in that chair, and you look up and you see that it was a different logo that came up in that place. It was heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking just for the guys that you do it with, and for all that they poured in, and ultimately, as a leader, and it's the same thing as a father. I sat there and tried to gather my thoughts and the emotions that I had, because they were all real. I mean, everything that was running through my body was real. But then I saw that some players were frustrated, getting up and they're starting to leave, and all the things that were going on. And then it's for me, having to get up, and I remember telling them, I was like, guys, it's what happened, I don't believe is right, and I don't believe it's necessarily fair for what you've done and what you've accomplished. But one thing I'm pretty certain of is that this will not be the last time in your life where something happens to you that's not right or not fair. And what you do through it, and how you go through it is we'll all get a chance to grow through this. But just be true to yourself, and be true to who you are, and all the things we've done up until this point.
Coach, I think we're going to get you out of here. We want to honor your time, but I think what I'm hearing from you, and what I've learned from you, and maybe the listeners, they've probably, we'll all learn different things, right? But I think what I'm hearing from you is what you tell your daughter, what you tell your players is, you're going to have success, you're going to have failures. It's all going to be part of it. You're going to grow from each. Like, it's just part of it. It's not unexpected. It's going to come, and when you do, you're going to grow.
Yeah, and it's really to have a to be grateful for each of those situations. I think so many times, and I don't ever want a team, and I definitely don't want to be a part of a family that only goes as the circumstances present themselves. I don't want to be a circumstantial reactor. And I want to to be a team, and I want to be a dad, and I want to be to have a family that, regardless of the circumstance, we're going to try to stay true to who we are, but we are going to grow through those opportunities. And I think so many people get caught up by whether it's their demeanor, whether it's the actions that they're willing to take, whether it's their overall mindset is all based off of the circumstance they find themselves in, and that's allowing so many things on the outside to affect who you are. I mean, I want to be true to who we are, to be intentional to that, and then whenever the circumstances of life present themselves, well, then we get to showcase and really put a spotlight on the truest intentions of who we are and where we're trying to go, and holding those values dear to us, and it's, if you can bring a sense of gratitude to those opportunities, I think it really just is that much more impactful, and helps encourage you through that journey, because we all get to go through it. But when you have that right mindset, I think it definitely helps push you forward, and can overcome and achieve so much more than what you even think you might, when you find yourselves in some of those challenging situations.
And Coach, by the way, real quickly, what that reminds me of is a verse in God's word where he says to be joyful always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So that really resonates with me. And so we're grateful for our time. Thank you for being with us as well.
Coach, before we let you go, is there anything else that you would like to add from today?
Well, I mean, it's just, the thing that I just continue to encourage, and it's a challenge for me, but, being intentional, and, we all have desires of things that we want to achieve. And whether it's the father we want to be, the husband we want to be, what we want to achieve in our profession. But if it truly is important, then in making, being intentional in all of those experiences, sometimes you might have to give and sacrifice in one area to make sure that you're still being able to make the impact in all the areas that are important to you. And I do think there's times that we can all get distracted on just one area or one focus, but you really can have it all if you're willing to be intentional to it all. And just finding that right balance, that right mix, and it's a daily challenge for me. And there's plenty of days that I mess it up, and I get to look back and reflect and work to get better. But just trying to be intentional to being the best I can be in all those areas, and it definitely sets out for an amazing journey.
Absolutely, thank you, Coach. And we know that season starts on August 24th against Georgia Tech in Ireland. So that's a tough gig, right? That's a tough gig. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. And it was a real blessing being able to share just a little bit with y'all, and appreciate the impact that you make.
Wow, I took away so much from that episode. All of you guys listening, I hope you did as well. One of the main things that stuck out to me when he said to those players after that huge disappointment, 13-0, was, hey, you're going to experience disappointment. This would not be the last time this happens. It's going to be how you deal with it that really matters. That just really stuck out to me. And I know I'm going to be glad I listened to this episode, and I hope you will be too. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the All Pro Dad podcast. All Pro Dad is the fatherhood program of the nonprofit Family First. Along with our motherhood program, iMom, we exist to help you love your family well. Subscribe to our daily email, the All Pro Dad Play of the Day, by going to allprodad.com/subscribe and get daily powerful and practical fatherhood tips in your inbox. The All Pro Dad podcast is hosted by me, Ted Lowe, produced by Bobby Lewis.